that I mandated. That light that's currently on Peter Street is a light that I put into the acceptance of that project, where the developer, for the first time in the history of the city of South Fulton, paid for that light, up to $250,000, and they covered it. So, like, these are things that we can do. We can actually have developers pay for the safety of our residents when they want to come and bring. These are community benefits that, if you go back to that council meeting, we have some people who just come, the same person all the time. It's like the whisper to South Fulton through developers. They come, y'all might know who I'm talking about just because I said that. But these are people who come, the developers hire the same people and they put them in front of us, and we just say yes, we acquiesce because we become familiar with them. And they keep hiring them and they keep, anyway. But to answer your question, it's already there. It's on the right. You should go check it out. And there's a light there as well that the developer paid for.
My main question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have some more questions from the audience. Quasar Alexander, please unmute yourself. You have the floor. Thank you.
How you doing this evening, Dr. Baker?
I'm excellent, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. So you you really just answered, and thank you for that question, Lyric. You just really answered my question about, I think it started with warehouses, but at a certain point it got around to the data centers, and I was going to really ask, and you kind of answered that, but I'm going to kind of ask it anyways. How do we tackle this data center issue without getting lawsuits, at the same time, satisfying our residents on where to put them and all that stuff? And the green space idea is very, very, very good. I've been looking at some ordinances, and I've been looking at the state, reading some of the reasons why these data centers even come in here. And I think that's going to be a good way to kind of keep them, at bay. But yeah, my main question is, the tricky part is, how do we stay out of lawsuits? Because some of these lawsuits can cost just as much as what it would cost to do the green space.
That's a great question. I think that our attorneys have to be more assertive with mayor and council. I think that, and I know this. I mean, if I don't win this race, I won't be running for council again. So I might as well just be radically honest. I believe that we have city attorneys, and have had issues in the past, especially because of, I've never worked with the current city attorney, but in the past I've worked with a city attorney who just allowed us to just do certain things and just said, okay, I will defend you when it's time, as opposed to being assertive and telling us no. I like Miss Walker. Miss Walker would tell us no, and that made a lot of people mad, and that's probably why she's no longer an attorney. But the bottom line is, you have to move forward and have attorneys who will tell you no. You'll get sued for certain things, and we have to be intelligent as counsel to not talk as much on the dis. We will pontificate over and over with the same issues regarding a development and talk ourselves into lawsuits because they use the information that we say against us. And we say it over and over in council meetings, and everybody, that's why we're there so late too. And just to kind of touch that, like, the mayor does have some power, whereas the mayor does set the agenda. So the agenda can be shorter. You don't have to be there all night. Because of that, the mayor gets to pick what's on the agenda. And if there's a conversation prior to, we can actually get some order to what's going down that pipeline to move things along effectively. But I think that, yeah, I think we have to stop talking so much, because we talk ourselves into lawsuits, and that's how they move forward, and we just depend on our city attorneys to get us out. So we have to stop that.
Thank you so much for that. Now, next question comes from Patricia. Patricia, if you can unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. You just mentioned a little while ago, follow the money. What exactly do you mean, Dr. Baker? Because to many, it sounds nefarious.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Okay, next question.
I mean, I don't know. You want me to, just like give you the details? You're right. You're right. I mean, you watch. I'm sure that somebody has seen what happened in the council meeting, and there's so many things that's happening. I received a mailer, right? Well, no, I'm not even going to follow the money. Like, we have to write out disclosures for a reason. Everything that we spend, that's on the campaign thing. And when we get open checkbook, you'll be able to see what it is that everybody is spending. I think that I wouldn't give up on that forensic audit. I wouldn't take indefinitely from anybody that's an elected official as well. But
Thank you for that
there are
answer.
people who actually, don't do the right thing all the time. And unfortunately, we've elected a couple.
Thank you for that answer.
All right, our next question comes from Candia Perry. Ms. Perry, please unmute yourself. You have the floor.
Okay. Dr. Baker, when you were on city council, you and I had a discussion once about tiny home community that you were approving or trying to move forward in your district. Where is the City of South Fulton right now with that whole tiny home container community building, with the homelessness growing, and of course talking about senior housing? Is there any more talk about that for the city?
So, no, I was off council. I've been off council for the past 3 years. I wanted to, and we, I've since, we've had a small, tiny home community in District 5, but I had a larger vision for a tiny home community right across from where we're building the current headquarters. That property to the left that goes back down District 7 on 138 into the city and not towards College Park. Not towards Clayton County from the Tri-County Plaza. I was working with our planning director. I probably still have some renderings. There was a developer who wanted to do it. And I talked about possibly bringing this, to the Development Authority. Petty differences, the inability to retain good people in the city of South Fulton, in the planning department, who are now moved on to greener pastures that I wish that when I'm mayor, they'll consider coming back. But the planning department thought that it was an amazing idea and they wanted to do it. But of course, again, the Development Authority was dismantled. And when the Development Authority was dismantled, we no longer had that tool in the toolbox of economic development. Of course, it's back up. And I saw the Development Authority with a meeting with City Council, and I'm still confused at how that worked because there's two autonomous bodies working in a joint meeting chaired by the mayor, which is almost something that should never happen because that's why the Development Authority is activated to work with the city as a tool in the toolbox for economic development, but not for the city, directly, and not beholding to the city directly, like that meeting I saw in parts of it. But short story long, it was tabled, and when things are tabled in the city of South Fulton, they go away to die.
Thank you so much for that. And before we go back to you, Lyric, I'm just going to take one more question from Sam Bowen. Sam, you should be able to unmute yourself.
All right. Good evening, everyone. First of all, good evening. Good to see you, Dr. Baker.
Likewise.
I know I had some questions that Quasar keeps stealing from me, my boy Quasar, with the data center questions. So I appreciate him asking them either way. So I'll shift to my next question. There is a, and there's no, I have no, let me just state the fact. I have no hard numbers to back this up, but I have seen a gradual increase in what appears to be the individuals that are being forced out of the city of Atlanta into our community, homeless, some questionable behavior. If you've been on Nextdoor lately, you've seen several people reporting individuals pleasuring themselves outside their doors. I've seen stuff on the side of the road. I think this is all in preparation of the World Cup coming next year. As mayor, if you were to win the office, what are some of the things you would do to at least try and work with the city of Atlanta to address that concern for us? Because I feel like they're just pushing the homeless population of the folks out of downtown and clearing everything out so it looks really pretty for the world, but they're coming to our community and it's almost like they're just, I hate to use the word dump because they're human beings. There's a lot of good people in amongst the homeless that just need help, and some people don't really want to be helped, but still they're human beings. So I guess my question is like, what would be your approach to dealing with that, Dr. Baker?
So thank you for that question. I heard that question in a forum recently, man, and it did not come to me. And it wasn't answered at all. It was danced around. I think that first, what you're saying is true. It happens all the time. Um, and there's no way we could put a real band-aid on that bullet wound. Um, I think that when you look at the city of South Fulton, we have to be careful. I know we have a higher median income, a higher median education rate, uh, all of this stuff, property value, but we can't break our arms patting ourselves on the back. We have to find a way to do a better job in acknowledging our homeless population or our unhoused population, because there's several different facets and faces of homelessness that we are yet to even acknowledge or identify. Um, and I think that uh, it starts with smart development, right? When I say smart development, I think about Cooley's looking glass theory, right? Or the broken windows theory. Like the Cooley's looking glass theory says that we tend to see ourselves the way others see us, right? Um, and the broken window theory ends up saying that, if you see a window that's broken, you pick up a rock and pitch it and break another one, and that's how our communities end up growing. Uh, Based off the ecology theory. When we have these municipalities like the city of South Fulton that forms, is from the Chicago school theory or the school thoughts of Parks and Burgess and the growth of a city based off ecology. Whereas our central business district grows like a flower from the inner circle or concentric zone out. So the inner circle would be the CBD, which is the central business district, like the city of Atlanta. The transit zone would be like the close outskirts of Atlanta, where you can go right back and forth to work real easy. When you first move to a city, you end up moving there because you're new to it and you know where your job is probably in the CBD, so you go a short distance. But the more we get to the commuter zones where we live, we find ourselves building more CBDs, and that's how cities have been grown. And this is a study that they've done since the 1920s with the ecology theory. We won't see the same type of homelessness that the city of Atlanta will see as much as we would see several different facets of homelessness in our city, right? Because there's no corner store. You can't walk to the store. You can't ask somebody for $1 at the store. You can't move around the way you could in normal central business districts. So our face of homelessness would be different. And with that different face of homelessness, we have to find a way, because we can put the broken window theory to the test by making these new developments have a percentage, uh, let's say 33% affordable homes, or affordable housing. Uh, the reason why I would give a percentage like 30 something is because we want to find uh, places for people to live, right? Who may not be as financially sound as others. And moving forward, we want to have those individuals living amongst us. Of course, those people who have those situations where they're mentally challenged, there's places for them that we need to try to best fit them as well. But that's different from the people who live in their cars and go to work and wash up in LA Fitness every day, and you talk to them at work and you don't even realize who they are. Um, but if we give those people opportunities, let's say at 33%, and allow them to live uh, with everyday people who go to work and do the same thing they do, they won't pick up that rock and bust that window. They won't throw trash out of their cars as they're driving down the street. They would actually acquiesce to the lifestyles and the living elements around them, and it will change that, and they would actually, you know, adapt to the people around them. And I think that those are the things that I would do. I actually put it in a contract with Mansa Park through the Development Authority. There's a certain amount of affordable housing in there, and it's a smaller amount because that's how it has to be done in doses until we could actually do it on a larger level as we grow as a city. Thanks for that question, though, Mr. Ball.
All right, back to you, Lyric, and
Right.
we have 10 more minutes left. So if we could, if you could wrap up your final questions, and then we can go into closing remarks.
All right. Well, piggyback riding off of that one. Camelot. When we're speaking about homeless and different things of that nature, what are your takes on Camelot? I mean, we all know the issues that are inside of Camelot, the breakdown of it all, and what are your views on it? Like, what would you do about that situation of Camelot? And it's still coincide with homeless and even other things.
Okay. Start by telling you I'm not going to move in. That's what I
Okay.
won't do. I won't move into Camelot. I'm not trying to be aligned with anything cosmetic. And I do believe that there's a bigger problem with the way that those projects, come about. There was a project that was attempted in my district where they wanted to allow people to have ownership, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, allow investors to do different things. When you have so I don't want to assume that other people understand the situation of Camelot. I know the old National Corridor may be more familiar than other places, but Camelot is a subdivision that, from my understanding, Dominique Wilkins used to live in,
Correct.
which means that during the early 80s and during its heyday, even P from QC grew up there. Like, this wasn't a bad place, and it was a desirable place. But when, like, the reason I wrote the investor harassment ordinance, I know that there's people who see that proximity to the airport, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
a gold mine. Camelot is a piece of property that is a gold mine to investors, right? So
Mm-hmm.
several of those individuals, they purchased that land, and it's difficult to catch up with who actually owns it, right?
Yep.
So you have some people who own their property and they live there and they actually keep it up, and it's amazing, right? And so, and then there's others who could care less about our city and the surrounding area, and they don't care. There's a conversation that needs to be had about history,
Right.
and it goes beyond us as a municipality. But I know that when I started on city council, there was negativity surrounding Old National, and it was always amplified. Whereas when we fought for things that we thought would better Old National, it was some pushback. And I learned that it was pushback uh, even outside of our city. We share it with College Park a little bit. We actually share Old National with College Park, and I'm going to give a brief history, right, of how stuff like this works, and it becomes the way that it is. When in Chicago, the mob ran everything, right? Uh, they would tax businesses and people who own property, and it would never. They would give them quote unquote protection. Ultimately, this protection that they would give them would allow them to stay in business and do things a certain way. If they didn't do that, they would burn their buildings down. They would make it difficult for them to do business. It would become a war zone where nobody would even feel safe enough to come and visit that area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or come to that business or support that business. Where after a certain amount of time, it'll be ultimately written off. And when it's written off, somebody with money would come and buy it cheap
Mm-hmm.
and outprice everybody around it. There's a bigger plan for Old National. and it has nothing to do with us. Uh,
So,
the infighting on council, the negativity that people see on a regular basis, all of that, all that does is it makes everything decline. And as we continue to decline, people will ultimately come back and say, I want to buy that. And they're
so,
going to sell it for almost nothing. And then we're going to come back 15 years later and see what it is, if the city of South Fulton is even in existence still, because there's been conversations about just revoking the charter and taking this stuff back. Like City of Atlanta and now everybody else, they're interested in our land. They're interested in our city. We've proven it to be viable to watch our property. I mean, we started the city, we had a a TAN, a tax anticipation note from Iberia Bank in Louisiana for 16 million when we started the city for our budget for the remainder of the year. And we've watched this thing just double and triple up to the point where it's $431 million now. So everybody knows what we can do, but they see what we're doing and they're demonizing it enough to say, throw the whole city away.
now I know we're running out of time. So let me ask this question, going inside what you just said. So
I'm just saying there's a bigger picture, and it's bigger than Camelot. You can go down to Beacon and they'll tell you their issues, but
I'm
it's
quite
bigger than the basic
I'm quite
what we're
sure.
gonna do about Camelot.
So I'm quite sure. I know it's a bigger picture,
Yeah.
but it's these are so many different concerns with so many people of the city. So what I would like to ask right now, and I'm quite sure a lot of people would love to know, what is your? It's a two-part question. Maybe you could sum it up. What is your vision for the city, for the people of the city, if you are elected mayor? And what would be your first agenda at making sure that that vision comes to life?
Restoring relationships. We have to restore relationships. Our council has become, unfortunately, a laughing stock. When people find out I worked in the city of South Fulton, uh, I'm excited to let them know, yeah, but do you know how much progressive legislation we've passed? We're forerunners on so many levels, and then I tell them, yeah, we're the first to write that reparations legislation that Fulton County now has a task force for. We're the first to abolish Columbus Day for Indigenous People Day, and now people are following suit. We're the first, and I point out all of those great things, and I point out the fact we have a higher property value, a higher education rate, and all of these things. I always highlight the great things of our city, and then they say, "Oh, well, I didn't know this stuff." Now, I wasn't a cool kid on the city council. I didn't get to sit at the table. So the communications department didn't even amplify these things that people should know about our city, whereas we would take pride in it, right?
Mhm.
I would start by restoring relationships in our I mean, I understand it's not a strong mayor position, right? But as the ambassador, I have people and connections and resources, whereas I can reach to people at the state level. I could even reach to the governor, you know, and like people don't understand. For example, Old National. Old National is ran by GDOT, the Georgia Department of Transportation. You know, and so some of the reasons is not the way that we think it should be. May have something to do with the state and other powers, but I'm willing to reach, and I'm willing to make us over as best I can with the relationships and the people who have viewed me at times as an exception. And I don't want people to think that, like while they currently think the exception is not the rule for South Fulton, I can do my best to work across with people and municipalities to let them know, hey, what you're doing on your side of the room impacts us as well. I don't know how many people on our mayor or council have had sit downs with our neighboring cities and pointed out the things that are deficient in our city due to some of the forward movement of theirs. And I think the moment relationships are restored, the moment we have civility and stability on our council, that's when we'll be able to actually relaunch our potential and stop the mess and hit a reset.
All right. Good answer. Rashad, you about ready to wrap up? We in the closing remarks.
Yes, so Dr. Baker, thank you for joining us tonight. If you can close us out with any closing remarks that you have, as well as any campaign events that you have coming up, and then we can close it out.
Yes. First, I'd like to say thank you to the coalition for allowing me an opportunity to speak and meet with you guys. It's been a pleasure to share. I probably can't tell you the last time I talked this much because I like to listen more. But this is a great opportunity to share more than I normally would have an opportunity to. So I am grateful for the opportunity. I think that because I don't have the opportunity to interface with many people across the district lines, I would share some of that information because we had an opportunity to say some of the things that I've done as a legislator. Um, abolish Columbus Day for Indigenous People Day, cannabis decrim, $15 minimum wage, ban the box on applications for convicted felons, activated the Development Authority, the Urban Redevelopment Authority as well. Um, I've made the resolution against the 5G towers, which is now the same paranoia that we have. I mean, just the research to find out what's going on with the data centers that so many people are concerned about. And just to kind of touch back, I think that because it's such a big deal, it's not the worst as long as we can tell them where to go, and find a solution for the water too. Because once that water cycles through, there's nothing we can do with it. But there's things that we can do to work with these individuals to make sure that our tax dollars aren't just coming from you. I think 20% of our tax dollars come from businesses as opposed to the 80 that comes from taxpayers. But moving on, Juneteenth was a holiday in South Fulton before the federal government did do the legislation that I passed, the investor harassment ordinances that I put in place for these seniors who my mom get a call to sell her house almost every day. Uh, Breonna Taylor's law, ending no-knock warrants, the hashtag A Can't Wait, the Central Park 5 legislation to protect our juveniles. And I worked proudly with uh, Councilman Yusuf Salam, who now serves on city council in Harlem from being in my office in South Fulton for so long. He helped me pass that law. As well as the Crown Act that ended discrimination for natural hair in the workplace and other places, the George Floyd Policing Act of 2021 resolution pushing back towards that, as well as critical race theory and Georgia's first reparation legislation. I believe that the work that I've done, I could actually push council to work to continue to be this city that takes action, to not be a punchline anymore, to move forward and actually, have that civility amongst one another. Team building, not saying we got to go all out of town all the time to build these relationships, but everybody understands that a relationship works because of the ship. We're all on this boat and we're relating to one another because of the city of South Fulton and our love for it and the trust that you've put into us as leaders to serve it, to build it faster and further, and make it go faster and further. I think that we can do that. I think that you have a job more so than me to do it as people who vote. Uh, there's an opportunity to make change in your immediate community in the current districts that are currently up for reelection. I have several events coming up where I want to talk about the good, bad, and ugly and relaunching our potential in general. I have something that is going to be early next week in District 7 at the 50-yard line. I have something at the Caribbean restaurant in District 2 early next week. I'm going to be at Harold's in District 5 next week. I'm putting all of these things at markbakerformayor.com, which is my website. Again, markbakerformayor.com. You'll see all of these things in the upcoming days. I have a meeting if you're from Oakley Township and which is the subdivision that I live in District 7, we had some disturbing news from our uh, HOA board yesterday, and many people are not happy, not pleased at all. I am bringing our state senator Rashawn Kemp to our area, and this is not a cosmetic meeting at all. This is something that came out of yesterday, working with the people in Oakley Township regarding HOAs, and several people across the city have these issues. But we're going to do what we can to treat the triage in District 7 in Oakley because of what happened yesterday. Senator Kemp has obliged to actually come and speak with us. But there's several events I'm having. Mama Cap is having an event for me in District 3 where we'll be discussing the same things. I'll be in District 4, but please go to markbakerformayor.com so you can come to these events. They're not just for those respective districts, they're for everybody in the city, and everyone is invited to come out. Please come out. And I would end with the words of the late, great Carter G. Woodson, who says that there's two types of knowledges on page 82 of the miseducation of the Negro. He says there's two types of knowledges, that there's one that's given to you and the other that's acquired on your own. And of the two, the latter is the greater. And as well as the good book of 2 Timothy, 2nd chapter, 15 verse, which tells you to study, to show thyself approved, a workman needed not to be ashamed, rightly divided in the word of truth. I think that there have been so many things that has made us divided as a city, whereas this may be one of the few and first times that I can remember where my voice will be reached beyond my district. But I'm asking that you do your due diligence and study us as council members or study us as candidates. And I believe wholeheartedly that if you really do that, I'll be your next mayor in the city of South Fulton. Thanks everybody who came and giving me this opportunity to share. I appreciate it.
And good luck on your candidacy.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We were scheduled to have an event tomorrow, but that event is going to be rescheduled due to World Changers and the Old National Merchants Association having an in-person in-person forum for the mayor's candidates. So, Dr. Baker, can you speak about that? Can you give the date? Can you give the location information for that? Because I don't have it.
Yes. I have it actually, and I normally don't have anything. Give me 1 second. So the event is tomorrow at World Changes, and I thought I had it in this text. I don't have it. I'm sorry. 1 second.
All right. While he looks that information up, we will be on Monday. On Monday evening, we will be featuring Joseph Adeyemi. That will be at 7 p.m. On Tuesday, we will be featuring Kelvin. We will be featuring candidate for mayor Kelvin, and then on Wednesday we will be featuring Councilwoman Carmelita Gomes. So that's what we have coming up for next week. And back to you, Dr. Baker.
Yes. So it's the City of South Fulton Mayoral Forum. Together, let's discuss, share ideas, and plan in a meaningful and impactful way. Thursday, October 16th, 2025 at 6 p.m. So I believe that it's at the Youth Empowerment Center of World Changes Church International, 2500 Burdette Road, College Park, Georgia, 30349. So we love to see you there. I will be there as well. Thank you.
All right, and I just received a text message from the. I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. I just received a text message stating that you have a meet and greet in District 2 at Andrea's next Wednesday.
Yes. Yes, I do. And thank you so much for sharing that. I have my list. So that's why I've been, just begging for people to go to the website where those flyers, they're going to be disseminated, but I have the list of where I'm going to be all throughout next week. But there's almost every day except for Tuesday, I will be somewhere. Yeah. So please look at that site and I'll make sure that everything is updated with the proper dates and time. I don't want to just try to freestyle and share the wrong information, but please visit the site, markbakerformayor.com. We're going to be having some conversations that are radically honest, that I'm going to answer anything, because I realize that, early voting has already started, and November 4th is right around the corner.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And everybody, these recordings will be available on the South Fulton Coalition YouTube channel. And Dr. Baker, we will send you a copy of the recording tomorrow. So you will have that. And everyone have a good night. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
All right.